In this video, we're going to be discussing how Scientology prevents people from going to the civil authorities to report crimes on themselves. And we're also going to take this opportunity to highlight, underline, underscore, circle in red a trillion times how Scientology does seem to know the reason police needs to be called. But somehow all those calls are always made for the wrong reason. So let's really get into juxtaposing what this incongruency really is all about.
And I say, Danny Masterson raped me. Okay, and then Danny is taken away to with the police, and so he can't be here at Celebrity Center or AOLA, and he can't read his book. He can't read Scientology. So here's Scientology. He can't, like, you literally have to demonstrate how you understand that concept, that law to be.
So yes, Leah, literally. I love that you used our word, literally. And it's not a law. Something that an indicted convicted felon wrote on a piece of paper, breaking news, is not a law. The fact that L. Ron Hubbard took it upon himself to type something and really purport that it was a law, really check with a mirror today if that would hold. Or if that's just another one of these infantilized delusions that y'all really went with as you really sat there and told yourselves, the law is to not call the law just because, God forbid, a self-admitted felon ends up in a situationship where he has to go and speak to the law for all the right reasons. And going back to pointing out the very simple fact of what we already have on the public record for ourselves. The fact that Scientology does call people to get welfare checks, does call the law, the fire department, and whoever in the hell else wants to answer their calls willy-nilly. Doesn't matter how many months of consistent pattern show up, them calling the literal law, the literal fire department, without a shred of reason to be doing so.
Right.
And what about, he went on further, and what about Carol Masterson, his mother, his sister, his brothers? Now demonstrate from me using these paper clips how, if Danny is in prison, how does that suppress their ability to do Scientology? And
yes, what about Carol Masterson, Leah? What about her? Would Carol Masterson had known what her son, what her client, as if she wasn't the momager, what a Scientologist that was on the president's lines was about? Would Carol Masterson have known of these type of unethical situations that Danny was involved with, yes or no? Because that's all we need to know right now. Did Carol Masterson know? Did Alana know? Did Chris Masterson know? Did Jordan know? Did Luke Watson know? Did Jenny Wyman, the publicist, know? Who knew? Did Susan Watson know? Did Julian Schwartz know? Did Mike Rinder know? Did whoever in the hell the RTC rep was at the time for Celebrity Center know? Would they have known about this flap involving a high-ranking celebrity that was used on films? Remember? Danny was used on a film, use of a doll in audits. So what type of legal problem would it create? What type of monetary problem would it create for the cat being fully out of the bag, with Danny Masterson having been tapped as the literal doll, the film that was used to groom all minors into thinking, oh, look, here's Danny Masterson, you guys. He's really a big, big celebrity in Hollywood, and he did lend a hand here to make a film with another underage girl who was essayed. Robin Alessandrini featured on that film. Yes or no, Mitch Brisker? So what type of flap was it if Danny Masterson all of a sudden did get found out to have committed illegal felonies? So who knew and when did they know it is what we need to really understand. Luke Watson, when did you find out? When did you know? When?
Then he made her, how does it suppress Scientology if we are in the news and police are here and we're being investigated? How does it suppress Scientology from clearing the planet?
Again, clearing the planet, breaking news, was a complete and utter infantilized delusion. No one is clearing a planet. No one is saving a shred of planet by obstructing justice. Nobody is getting anywhere with that. No matter how many times the hotel told you, we really want to save a world, we really want to clear a planet by obstructing justice. We're going to really clear a planet by doing a 2-week course inside of a hotel, and then all of a sudden, we're going to really advise on manners that we have no shred of clue what in the hell we are advising.
Making more Scientologists.
Right.
And then she had to demonstrate that. And we've all had to do these demonstrations to our ethics officers throughout our Scientology careers. So that's how that was done.
Yes.
And by the way, she was put through this for a year.
Right. And this is how it's done all the time.
Correct.
And it is not a figment of
Right.
the imagination of every person who is speaking out about the abuses in Scientology today.
Again, chuckle away. Chuckle away, Mike Rinder, and thank you. Credit when credit is due. It isn't a figment of Miriam's imagination, is it? That her crimes were covered up, that her crimes were laundered, that the self-admitted, you know what in the hell we exactly mean, was allowed to roam free. Just, go to another country. Why don't you just go to another country while we really pour through all the files of your admissions, while we really put through all the video recordings that we have here of this man? Imagine that that's the type of intel that, including but not limited to, Mike Rinder had access to confirm whether or not a crime had been committed. Right, Mike Rinder? You had that info. God only knows if you had the access to that info in this exact case. Imagine that we have no way of knowing if you actually were CC'd on this specific case of Miriam, is what in the hell we're talking about. So we don't know who in the hell had access to that info in regards to that specific case. But how did you not have info on this other case? Would be great to understand right about now.
Right.
That
they all say exactly the same thing about how this policy is enforced in Scientology. It is not imaginary. It is written right there in the book But not only is it written in the book, it is enforced. It is enforced by people like Julian Schwartz and OSA, who
Mhm.
make sure that people understand.
It is enforced by who? Julian Schwartz and OSA? So those are the people? Julian Schwartz. Imagine Julian Schwartz didn't go to the same things that you went to, didn't have the access to all the attorneys that you did have access to personally. Imagine that he was a child that grew up in Scientology and then was a pawn, a full-blown peon at the bottom of the barrel. So yes, he definitely laundered a bunch of stuff for y'all. He definitely did do that for himself. But who else is enforcing these policies to be applied, Mike Rinder? Would anyone in your ex-office that you belong to at OSA been very pressed to make sure that that was being followed? So how could this apply to you is the question. How could you have been involved in any way, shape, or literal form? Because you always bring up everyone else's name and it never has anything to do with you somehow. Meanwhile, you were a watchdog. Imagine that. You were an actual dog committee and everybody else did it. Who done it is the question that we are asking right now. Who done it? Who did it? Who knew? What did they know? And when did they know it? It's really simple. It's actually not complicated, believe it or not. Not complicated at all.
That they are committing a high crime and may be declared and be disconnected from all their family and lose their job and blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah. That's right. Who came up with that pitch? And what did you have to do in connection to that pitch getting told to people at the bottom of the barrel? Because blah, 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 blah is the pitch that you were using to scare people away. So you could run your little hotel laundering the felonies. Literally laundering the felonies with a lot of blah, 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 blah. One of your little favorite words to use.
Blah,
Mhm.
if they violate this
These laws.
teaching of L. Ron Hubbard.
Right.
And
This teaching, this literal, outrageous, go commit a felony, go obstruct justice, go and be infantilized and delusional that a convicted felon typed something on a piece of paper that is now called a teaching, and now it's called orthodoxy, and now it's called all manner of names that have nothing to do with reality. That's why. That's literally why right now what you're getting is called, let's make sure you understand this. Let's make sure you really understand this, Mike Rinder. This is what is called an SRA, a severe reality adjustment. So it sounds like you were not very well adjusted with reality, even though you do blab your mouth a lot and say a lot of things. But right about now, an SRA is in order. An SRA for you. For you, Mike Rinder, that has been out for how many years from Scientology and you still haven't figured it out? Please, by all means, how have you not figured it out? How?
this is, there's no doubt about this. And it's not open to even
Interpretation.
questioning, despite what Scientology keeps saying. We have no policy. Okay, well, you're reading on the screen a selection of 6 specific policies.
Reporting or threatening to report Scientology or Scientologists to civil authorities in an effort to suppress Scientology or Scientologists from practicing or receiving standard Scientology. In a nutshell, reporting Scientologists to authorities, civil authorities, And that is in an effort to suppress Scientology or Scientologists from practicing or receiving standard Scientology. Imagine that is all it took to circumvent anyone inside of those hotels having to go to the authorities. Delivering up a person of a Scientologist without justifiable defense or lawful protest to the demands of civil or criminal law. Imagine that. Delivering up the person. Earthquake, real life earthquake, Mark Winder. Feel that. Feel that, because that's what an earthquake here in Los Angeles actually feels like. We just had one. Delivering up a person of a Scientologist without justifiable defense or lawful protest to the demands of civil or criminal law. Public statements against Scientology or Scientologists, but not to committees of evidence duly convened. Isn't that great, you guys? That they just want it all, just talk to us internal. Talk to us internal and it's all going to be great. You're going to have a wonderful time here talking to us internal. Testifying hostile before state or public inquiries into Scientology to suppress it. Bringing civil suit against any Scientology organizations or Scientologists, including non-payment of bills or failure to refund without first calling the matter to the attention of the International Justice Chief and receiving a reply. Yeah, because Jim Ellis, International Justice Chief that he is, really cares about justice. What type of literal merits does the International Justice Chief have to hold that post? Literally think about that, Mike Winder, and then type that up in a letter. Tell us what type of qualifications were required for the IJC guy to really hold that post. Providing an organization's PC folders, ethics files, student files, account files, central file folders, or central file list, or partial list to any individual group, organization, or mission other than for any reason or purpose except that covered explicitly in church policy. So I really wonder who said church. Because you know what? Did L. Ron Hubbard really write church? And that's all that it took for y'all to literally have the full knowledge, the full documentation of the crimes that were being data mined, including but not limited to by minors, Mike Winder. Because that would be great to understand right about now as well. And, you know, we just did you a favor since you did blow from reading every last statement here that sounds, you know, very much giving what in the hell it's saying here that you have been doing yourself your whole life. But, you know, you're really talking about this. You're really translating it to Leah. And you couldn't have been more involved. You're really going to point the finger at Julian Schwartz? You were WDC OSA, Mike Winder. Julian Schwartz is a peon pawn at the bottom of a literal barrel.
6 specific high crimes that tell Scientologists, do not go to law enforcement. Do not go to civil authorities. Do not testify in front of a civil authority. Don't give them files. Like, this is one that people don't focus on. The last one that I put there, providing an organization's PC folders, ethics files, student files, accounts files, central file folders, or central files list, or partial list to any individual group, organization, mission, or other unit or agency for any reason or purpose except those covered explicitly in existing church policy.
So who wrote that exactly? Because that's not how L. Ron Hubbard was writing his BS. Was a Santa helper giving him that type of quote to put into this supposed high crimes? What type of lawless organization are you running? really purporting that writing so-called high crimes, making it a crime to get a shred of justice for, again, any minor who got ensnared in your scheme. Because that's what we need to understand right now. In what world were minors told that they had no right to report to a single shred of authority because somebody did write it on a piece of paper that it was a criminal act to use civil authorities under any circumstances? Because that would be really, really good to understand right about now as well.
And
Mhm.
I assure you, there is absolutely no church policy that says turn over evidence of Scientologists committing crimes to the police.
Right.
I assure you that you do have video recordings, PC folders, ethics files, student files, where all it took is for y'all to decide that a memo that did tell you, write it all down, record it on video, record it on their ethics file, record it on the ethics chit, record it on the knowledge report, record it, and write it down. So by all means, explain how you have a ton of plausible deniability. Explain how you have such a huge division from whatever was going on at the hotel when a top crime was literally committed, was found out, was fully data mined. And by all means, tell us how this was not your response, of which you fully monetized right here. Because this is about all it took for you to grab a hold of self-admitted felonies that people did get told, oh, just tell us about it here in a session. As soon as we tell you, you need to float it. All of a sudden, technology lets you what? This? So was Miriam supposed to just what? Go in session, get it floated, and then all of a sudden it floated. All of a sudden, all of these things were put in place. So it was a criminal act to get a shred of justice for that child. So we would love to understand from the countries that are hosting this 501c, why are y'all allowing islands of commercial buildings and commercial hotels where reckless lawlessness can take place? Because y'all's literal laws could be more unenforceable because a convicted felon wrote about it on a piece of paper. Right or wrong, Mike Rinder?
Well, there are OSA directives, Mike, that when person leaves the organization, all of a sudden the OSA operations say, oh, this one was into looking at illegal
Yeah, he's a peeping Tom.
websites, and this person had committed this crime, and that person.
No. Peeping Tom and illegal websites, Mike Rinder. Nice little save that you did there for yourself. Diverging. Oh, yeah. Peeping Tom. Someone's a Peeping Tom. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Peeping Tom. Illegal websites of what, Mike Rinder? Can you guess the two letters that I'm about to put on a little post-it note for you? Here. Go check for all of you who really want to wonder what these two letters could stand for. And isn't these the type of websites that Leah Remini is bringing up right here, Mike Rinder? And why does Leah know that including but not limited to people that self-admitted to be visiting a lot of websites that were full of this? And in what world did you not get the name of the website? How long the person stayed on the website? How many kids did that person see on that website? How many adults were involved in the videos that the adult was watching for himself on that website? a website of this, not Peeping Toms, but nice one with the Peeping Tom thing there. Nice, nice, nice. And Leah Remini definitely gets all discombobulated right after that because, you know, the Peeping Tom, through her thought of what she was about to say, as Mike Rinder again sanitizes in real time what's being discussed because, oh yeah, let's really discuss this. Let's really get into the weeds of things.
And Scientology only was reporting on these things, or not even reporting, but trying to get it out there on the internet so other people would report on it. So they actually never reported it to the police.
That's right. And that is the full-blown thing about this situationship. Scientology never reports to the police this. So why is that a thing? If somebody's in those members goes, oh yeah, I really have an obsession with this. I really did it a million times. I really visited all these websites. Where are those calls to the LAPD and the Clearwater Police Department? Are we really saying that a full-blown law enforcement agency is outsourcing, including but not limited to, these type of felonies to a hotel where whoever in the hell was checking this on the internet got what? A pass. Got what? A little eraser for themselves. That all they had to do was, oh, forget about it. Oh, you know what? Let me just, here. You were watching, your needle is floating. Look. Magic. You see? Here you go. Then we use our little eraser. And then all of a sudden, boom. Oh, isn't it great? Friendliest place on earth. Why were y'all so friendly is what in the hell we are asking ourselves right about now. Why was those hotels so friendly to those people? Because by all means, use your hands to type that statement. Use your hands to advise on that. We don't give a shred of an F about all the other little martyr stories that you propped up for yourself to really look relatable, to really pitch yourself as, oh, Victim of the Year award. You've gotten enough awards. You've got enough certificates to last you a whole lifetime. So it's time to put those certificates to actual use, Mike Rinder.